How impressed are you with the way that your team came out on opening night and responded so well and really kind of put their stake down that this is who they're going to be?
For a first game, I was impressed. That's a difficult environment to play in. Will Hardy has done a fantastic job in a short amount of time with that team. They have length, they have size, athleticism, scoring, shooting, and I thought we did some pretty good things defensively. I felt offensively we were pretty good, but we could be even better offensively, and that's what I guess I'm most impressed with is our ceiling is high. Like we didn't, and I'm sure they feel the same. So it's not taking anything away from them. But I feel like we can play even better on both sides of the ball, a lot better.
Can you talk a little bit about Harrison Barnes, going through training camp and then just come out with a big explosion the way he did in that first half last night?
Yeah, he's a pro's pro. He's been around a lot of situations. He's a guy that's always going to keep himself ready, not just physically with his game, but also mentally too. And the opportunity presented itself on a few different occasions, especially offensively. He was great with his cuts. Not only did he cut really well, but he finished his cuts. And Utah played a lot of zone. And if you're cutting bodies through that paint and continuing your cuts with the way that we pass the ball and space the floor, you're going to get some great looks. And then, he's a strong, wily veteran. And, if you give him room to snap drive, and now he's going downhill at you, he's got a lot of tricks still up his sleeve to be able to finish. And if it's through contact, great. If it's around contact, he has ways to do that too. So big ball game from him. We needed that on the road. But it doesn't surprise me that he's able to step up like that.
How important is it to have a guy who's been through the process of going from a team that's not very good to trying to get to great, like Harrison has when he was with the Warriors?
Extremely important, and the more guys you can have on your team that have championship level experience and that can relate stories to other guys that don't, especially during adverse times. All the time is great, but especially during adverse times, it's a benefit to the organization, let alone that player that you're trying to grow and develop at a quicker pace.
Anything stand out in terms of physicality and defense where you saw something that kind of made you smile a little bit in that game?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. I mean, we've got called for a lot of fouls. I would disagree on some of them, but we have to figure out what it means to be physical, and we have to set the tone. So there were some fouls that we got called on that, yeah, it was a foul, but I'm cool with it because we fouled trying to be physical, and we had moments like that from almost everybody.
Yeah, and when you look ahead toward tomorrow, I mean, you guys have been in so many classic games, it seems like, even in this preseason. Is that just kind of what you kind of grown to expect when the Kings and Warriors get together?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a championship level team or organization. I've said it before, they got 4 or 5 guys on their team that have won multiple championships. The head coach is a Hall of Famer. They got other guys on the staff that've been there the whole time. So, and then they have special players too. And so when you have that and you feel like, okay, hey, we can compete, it feels pretty good. And now we got to figure out how not to only compete, but to come away with more wins than they do.
Do you get a sense that your guys get up for this matchup?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think, like, I felt our guys were locked in last night. I think they're going to be locked in tomorrow night. I don't. When I look back, I don't feel like our guys took many nights off, and I say that because you would have to ask them, but I don't feel like they get up more for these guys than anybody else, if that makes sense.
How did you assess Chris's performance last night? He'd been out for a while and trying to get back out in the flow, but he looked pretty solid in what time you did have him out there.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was pretty good defensively. A few times that he had the ball, he picked up full court and turn the ball in the backcourt. You know, we're not looking for steals back there, but he did a great job just being a presence out on the floor. I thought in the half court he showed a sense of physicality. You know, we all still have to, when a guy drives, keep showing that chest and keep going vertical here with two hands. A couple of times we went vertical here, but had a forearm down here, and they called the little bump. So I think he got hit or dinged one time for it on one of their guys' drives. But I thought defensively he was the presence that we're looking for in that position, and I thought offensively he took some shots that were within rhythm of what we're trying to do on that end of the floor.
We saw a 10-man rotation last night. Do you usually want to try and go about 10 deep?
You know, if I could go to 11, I would, but it's too many people, I think. Right now, it's great to go to 10 guys, and you know, at the end of the day, I may switch those 10 guys up, so you know, everybody has to be ready at all times. But the more guys we can get out there to get game experience will only help us at the end of the day, especially this early in the year.
And how prepared were you for Utah to play that zone, and were you surprised how much they ran it?
I was a little surprised that they kept running it after we got a few good shots or a few good looks, but you never know what anybody's thought process is. But we expected it. They ran it last year, and there were times that we did well, and obviously times that we struggled. So, you know, we took what we learned last year and moved it forward, and felt like we got some really good looks, because I probably called the same play 30 times, you know, against it. And our guys did a nice job trying to execute the play and spacing the floor and moving the ball.
Coach Brown, it wasn't at a high volume, but these blocks and steals seem to be creeping up. I would assume that, you know, you are monitoring those situations. At least those things were happening during preseason.
For us?
For you, yes,
Okay.
yes. And like I said, it's not at a high volume, but they're doing it significantly at, you know, say like De'Aaron's steal that turned into that Malik dunk yesterday. Are you seeing those type of things in practice blending over into the game? Because De'Aaron and Keegan did talk about that after the Golden State Warrior game, that's been a point of emphasis too.
Yeah, I'm not a huge block guy or a huge steal guy, because I always think if you go for blocks and you go for blocks the wrong way, there are some special shot blockers out there. But if you go for blocks, you go for blocks the wrong way, to me it's a gamble. A lot of times if you're big, you're going for a block, you're taking your body off another big. So if you miss it, which you're going to miss most of the time, it's going to be an offensive rebound available for your guy on the backside. If you go for a steal, if I go for a steal and I miss it, this guy cuts back door, he does a snap drive. Now they're 5-on-4 because I took my momentum out of the play. And so I'm more a deflection guy and a verticality guy. And if guys score over the top of me when I go vertical and they hit my chest, I'm cool with it. You know, if I'm guarding here and I got a hand in the passing lane, and now that pass comes and I get a deflection, I'm cool with it because it messes with the rhythm of our opponent's offense. If we end up getting more blocks and or more steals because we're in the right position and we don't take ourselves out of position, then I'll live with that too. So if it happens, great, but it's not anything that I look at the end of the game and say, oh my God, we had 8 blocks or something like that, or we had 8 steals or whatever it is. It's more, like I said, the other areas, the deflections, the verticality, and how well those 2 areas are helping us protect that paint.
Two more guys. Brought a question about rebounding. It seemed like even yesterday there were just like some weird bounces, right? And they were able to get second chance opportunities. And you see that a lot in the NBA nowadays. I'm curious, like, what you can do as a team to combat those weird bounces that happen.
Well, first thing is, one of the things that happened last night, there were long shots that equated to long rebounds, and it just makes sense. The longer the shot, the more opportunity that thing's gonna hit, bounce pretty far. And so when the shot goes up, what we were doing at the basket is here, the shot goes up, we teach our guys to check, see if you're moving. If you take a half an inch step forward, I'm coming to meet you with this forearm, okay? If you stay, then after I check, I could take a half a step this way. But what we did a lot last night was the shot went up, we didn't check, we just turned and did like this. And now that shot bounces over our head and it falls right into your hands, you know. And if you think about it, most of them were on long shots. They had a couple where our big went to block a shot, and now he's out of position, and their big ended up getting the rebound on the backside and
Right.
put it in. So again, those are things that we can clean up, especially the long shots equal long rebounds. Do a better job in so that teams don't get as many as what Utah did last night.
Yeah, 'cause some of your
Last
comments
one.
last night obviously seemed to resonate with some people. Just what was kind of the motivation or just the spirit that you felt coming to the podium to want to share some of those thoughts with everyone?
You know, the tough part about it last night for me was, you know, you just won a basketball game, and so you feel good. And there was a big part of me that felt guilty that I was able to experience that and experience the joy that I felt from winning that game on the road, opening night, and all that stuff for the Jazz. And just put myself as best I could in those people's situations that just crushed me and messed me up. And on top of it, you know, I have a grandson now, and to think that as time goes on, it's going to be harder and harder for him as he gets older just to go to the freaking grocery store. That just kills me. And it was just tough to process and really talk about the game at that point in time when there are so many people that have their lives impacted and touched in Maine that, you know, knock on wood, however you want to do it, pray, that I can't even imagine what they're going through right now. It just didn't seem fair nor right for me to talk about what I just experienced, because we're playing a game. That's real life.